Good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 26th. It is 8:30 a.m. We are here for the Legislative and Human Resource Committee meeting. Our first item on our agenda is public comment. If you are here to address the committee, please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes. D. Jones.
Can I wait till it quiet down a little bit? It's a lot of people speaking still. All right, thank you. This is the hospitality that I give everybody else. How you doing, everybody? I'm D. Jones. I just got back from Las Vegas, so I got to show you my International Visionaries Award for 2024. Just got back from Vegas, speaking at the Caesars Palace on a panel, and want to show everybody the cool things that I did across Kent County, and I got this beautiful award, and the only other place that they do this is Dubai. And so I'm very, very happy to be able to contribute to the field of technology, because I know technology is very important to society, it's very important to pushing our society forward. And I'm just very thankful because I got to speak. I'm a person that came from real struggle, you know what I'm saying, living in poverty, and I was able to speak at the Caesars Palace, and it's so beautiful. I can't explain the beauty of the Caesars Palace and the beautiful ladies there. It was so many fine ladies. I can't even lie, like it was this old. It was crazy, and they loved me. I knew they was gonna love me because I'm confident, you know what I'm saying? And I was doing something cool and innovative, and I just can't wait to be able to see the future D. Jones, because I'm just very happy to be able to do this here in Kent County and do it ethically and do it, just and fair and create an equal opportunity for our community. Like, I'm very, very excited. And there's another conference that they want to give me something for being an inspirational leader and an influential leader. And so I'm just very, very excited to be able to be here, to be alive, to be able to give back to my community, to inspire people from the hood. I can't tell you all of the people from the underserved community in the hood and just people from different backgrounds of life. And I haven't even showed this to the whole board, but I just hope that you guys see the work that I've been doing, everything that I've done. I've always been genuine. I've always been authentic and true to who I am, regardless of if people like me or not. I'm always going to stay true to who I am, just because as a guy, as a man in society, integrity and character is the only two things that I know I truly have, and those some that you can never knock and that people can destroy easily, but you ain't gonna destroy this thing, because I'm a pretty cool guy, you know what I'm saying? And I really loved it, just to be able to hold this and bring this here to the city, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of different awards and powerful things that I'll be able to do, like, hosting $100,000 esports finals at the DeVos place. Still got to do that. So I know a lot of these awards are going to come, and we're going to be one of the best cities in America for sports and just being able to be ethical and just being equitable. And I'm going to hold you guys to that in every level of politician. I don't care. I'm going to continue to do these positive things. I even got our police officers wanting to snap pics with me and so they can show their kids. And I've been able to connect people out there at the conference that I was at in Las Vegas to Epic Games, from people from different states across the United States. And so hopefully you guys see the positive things I do and think of the things that we can do for Kent County if we work together. Thank you.
Thank you, D. Jones. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to address the committee? All right, seeing no one, we'll close that portion of our hearing. I need approval for the minutes. Do we have approval for last meeting's minutes by Teal, supported by DeBoer? Any comments, questions, concerns? If not, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed? Commissioner Pakla is on an island by himself today. All of a sudden, I'm looking over there, and it's just gone. So you can move. Hey, you can move to the right side, Chris. All right, our next item on our agenda is brought to us from the Information Technology Performance Measurement Review. Tim.
Good morning, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity this morning to spend a few minutes talking about IT, all things IT, and what we're doing for you. It's always a little strange because I'm not normally up here, but we'll do the best we can. We got a few minutes here to talk about a few things, and it's hard to follow the enthusiasm of D. Jones, but I'll try to keep it rolling. So. All right, here's where we're headed today, just the alignment with board priorities, department strategic goals, interesting metrics, IT security, talk about a few of our accomplishments in 2023 there. I want to spend a few minutes talking about OnBase, our document management system, and then lastly, a look ahead with a few challenges. So the mission, that's what we do. We provide responsible, responsive, I should say, and responsible, quality, cost-effective information technology services. That's what we do. That's a little flowery. We simplify it a little bit internally, and we talk about getting the right people access to the right technology or the right application securely, easily on a device that we know about. And we want to know what's in the environment, and that's kind of the device that we know about there. How it fits with the board and their strategic priorities, excellence in service delivery. We're a service organization first, that's what we do. And we really tuck in there when we talk about embracing innovation and continuous improvement, and then strengthening the use of technology throughout the county. So not hard to fit that in. A little bit more about us by the numbers, kind of interesting things here. There's 41 of us scattered across 7 work teams, functional work teams. The average tenure in IT is 12 years. Last year in 22, it was 15. So we had a retirement, we added a new position, so we're getting younger. And that's exciting to watch. Across the organization, we support about 2,300 computers on any given day. In our data centers, we've got about 320-ish servers. They tend to grow like rabbits sometimes, so depending on what's going on, it's 320-ish. Network devices supported, about 350, so this is your wireless access points, routers, switches, those types of things that provide connectivity between facilities and people. External connections managed, 53. These are connections to municipalities, local, state, federal resources for public safety, those types of things. Database supported, 462. This supports the county lines of business. So it keeps the county in business on a day-to-day basis. In 2023, we had about a little over 14,000 requests for our service come through our service desk. That's about 1,200 a month. And then also in 2023, interestingly, for services that we provide out of our data centers, so not cloud, but in our data centers, 99.99% uptime. So when you look at kind of the metric there, we measure unplanned downtime in minutes per month instead of hours. So that's pretty significant for us. OnBase is our document management system. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. And I challenged that team to come up with an interesting factoid for this presentation. And they let me know that we've got about almost 36 million pages. So 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, 36 million of those stored in OnBase. And then that's roughly, they did the math, almost 1,900, that's a standard 36-inch 3-drawer file cabinet, almost 1,900 of those. If you stacked them end to end, it's more than a mile. So we found that was pretty interesting. And then lastly, it's kind of a minor bullet point, but I think it's interesting. Access Kent, when we look at traffic coming to Access Kent, the county website, 56% of that traffic was from a mobile device. So that's a phone, that's a tablet, something else. That's the highest it's ever been. And so that's pretty significant when we look at that. Residents are choosing to interact with us online services more and more from mobile devices. So interesting to note that. So pivoting a little bit, I want to talk for a few minutes about IT security. IT security, we spend a lot of time, a lot of resources on this. Everybody's interested in it. So I wanted to spend a few minutes just touching on a few things related to that. We are blessed among our peers that we have dedicated full-time IT security staff. So we all have a security mindset. We bake it into everything we do, but we've got 2 individuals that do nothing but IT security full-time. And so we are fortunate in that regards. Like I said, everybody is interested in IT security, from county rating agencies to our insurance renewals. More and more people are asking, hey, what are you guys doing to improve your IT security posture? So it's been probably one of our largest areas of growth in terms of interest within IT. So you may have heard the term layered security or defense in depth. We take a best practice approach where we layer security in multiple layers throughout the organization. Somebody somewhere in the county is always undergoing some type of an audit. It's just a cyclical thing that the county does. And so more and more of those audits are IT security intensive. And it used to be tell me what you do, but now it's becoming more of a show me. Can you provide evidence that you're doing this, that, or the other thing? And so we spend a lot of time doing that as well. We do undergo annual penetration testing, which is a pretty rigorous examination of our external security and internal security. There's a number of different components to that, but basically there's everything from the brute force attacks from outside to inside, and basically saying, hey, if they were able to get in, what can they get access to? So that's a pretty rigorous activity that we go through on an annual basis. We'll talk more about endpoint protection a little bit later on, but as the county becomes more mobile and we're moving to more laptops, those are the edge, right? If you're working remotely, maybe it's a coffee shop at home, whatever it might be, that laptop is now the edge of our network, right? So how is that thing actually being protected? We'll talk more about that. Incident response plan, review, testing, tabletop exercises, we're always talking about. If something were to occur, how would we react? A lot of engagement with local, state, federal resources. Our peers, what are they doing for best practices? What are they seeing out there? These relationships that say, hey, if there is a compromise or an attack, we're happy to help out. We've got resources and vice versa. It's a very reciprocal, very great relationships we've built. And then lastly on this slide, you can see the picture there. We're also interested in data going out. The county sends and receives about 45,000 emails, almost 50 a day, which is a lot, but what data is going out that we need to be concerned about? And you'll see an example there of a policy that was triggered when a certain number pattern meets the Social Security. We get an alert on that, and we can follow up and say, hey, is that legit? What do we need to do to make sure that those things don't happen? Moving on a little bit, we still believe strongly people are the #1 threat to IT security. People are well-intentioned. They're trying to do the best things they can, but that person clicking on the wrong link, providing that information, right, that social engineering aspect, that is still the #1 threat we see out there. To combat that, we're using multi-factor authentication, which is really that something you have and something you know type of approach. It's really identity management. How do I know that you're you when you send me something or when I receive something? So that's now to over 50 applications, most notably probably our CGI or Advantage 4 environment, our ERP system, which was something we needed to do, so we're there now. We continue to expand security awareness training and anti-phishing campaigns. We're going to talk about that on the next slide. I mentioned antivirus and edge point protection. We're using a technology called Next Generation Antivirus, which is behavior-based. If you have a county device, there's a piece of software on there that watches what you do and learns how you operate. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all. And as it learns about what you do on a normal day, when it detects that something different that sends us an alert or it prevents that activity. And we see that quite frequently. Somebody trying to install a piece of software. It could be legitimate, but it's out of character, and that's what it doesn't like. And so that's been extremely effective for us. Increasing our spam and malware email detection. We talked about email a little bit on the previous slide. Secure workstation configurations. We want to know what's on the network, and we want to know what that profile looks like. And so we're working to get to a point where workstations, if they don't meet a certain baseline, they're not allowed to do anything on the network. And that's really the non-managed PC challenge. We have a lot of contractors, a lot of non-county employees that are bringing devices into our network for legitimate reasons, working on an HVAC system or something else. It's got to meet a certain security profile before we allow it to do anything on the network. And then we talked about incident response plans and tabletop exercises, again, keeping it in front of us. But there is some good news. So what you see on the slide here is a couple of interesting things. I know it's a little bit busy, but there are actual examples here of Kent County officials that were targeted through spear phishing or phishing types of campaigns. One is a text message, a couple are emails that are crafted with varying degrees of effectiveness. The good news is they were all caught. Everybody identified it, they report it, and so things are working there. And one of the metrics we watch is that phish-prone county staff percentage, which is the percentage of likelihood that somebody who receives a bad message from a bad actor will do something with it. And right now we're sitting at about 4.2 in 2023, which is down from 5%, and that's great. So people are doing the right things, the training is working, it's paying off, they're recognizing the symptoms of it. That's all very good stuff. The industry average for large government is about 6.1%. And so while we're pleased with it, we always double down, we just make it harder, right? So in 2022, we were about 5%, 2023, 4.2%. If it ticks up, that's okay, because we're just making it harder, and that's kind of the whole continuous improvement perspective. So, so there are some good news there. Moving on, we can talk about IT security all day long, and nobody wants to do that usually, but the intent of this slide is really twofold. One is there's a lot we could talk about that I'm reluctant to talk about in an open meeting in terms of specifics of how we do things. We just can't do it. And the second part is I'm happy to certainly work with any one of you personally. A couple of you have come over, toured the IT building, and learned more about what we do. I would certainly extend that invitation to anybody to come over, and we can take as much time as you want, and we'll show you some cool stuff. So, all right. Significant accomplishments. I'll buzz through these a little bit, but we do a lot of other things other than IT security. Recently, the Sheriff's Department migrated to a new jail management system, a platform called EIS. And interestingly, their previous solution, JailView, was the oldest application the county ran. It was approaching 30 years. So there were a lot of vulnerabilities, a lot of compliance issues. So they made the decision to do it. It was the right decision. We supported them in doing that. That has made a huge difference in much of our penetration testing and some of the things we found. So that's been a huge win for us and them. Partnered with Department of Public Works and the Sheriff's Department for Tech Week. This is the first time that really IT at the county went out and became more public. So we kind of slid out from behind the curtain, and we partnered in GR Tech Week and talked about technology opportunities in local government. I think that was very well received. We had some GIS demos and some other things that worked really well. IT security enhancements we talked through. We made some staffing changes to better support the county. We added a position on our on-base team. That has been a huge win for us. We'll talk about on-base coming up. We had a DPW IT position that was dedicated to Department of Public Works. We brought them into IT last year, and that provided some leverage and improved our support positions and capabilities there. And then due to some evolving technologies at the courthouse, we upgraded a position there and placed that individual on site. So those were huge wins for us. IT support of new facilities, most recently the North County and Fleet Services buildings, various improvement at parks. We're always excited, like everybody else is, when the county does something new. North County in particular, that was great. But then we got to figure out how to connect it to something. And so that there's a few moments of panic there where, hey, now what do we do? But able to work through that with a partnership with KISD, and that has worked out well for us. We're going to talk a little bit more about business process redesign, but we made some significant improvements in the courts and in legal area in terms of supporting them and some of their processes as it relates to litigation hold. And the accuracy of court recordings, retrieving them, storing them, and making sure that all of that is intact where it needs to be. We've reduced a lot of our support costs associated with legacy hardware. We talked about the JailView replacement earlier. We continue to see significant reductions in hardware costs, which is real dollars. And then lastly, successful audit regulatory compliance. I talked a little bit about that. We have not had a material breach that we've had to fix, and so kudos to our staff and the county for doing it. A lot of it is maybe a procedural thing here and there, but nothing material. So. All right, let's talk about on-base. And really, this slide is busy, but I would direct you to really the last bullet point in the second column there, and because it really sets the stage for the rest of this slide. And then the picture there, I was thinking about this yesterday. That's a screenshot from the Titanic movie, and that's not to say that on-base is a horrible tragedy like the Titanic. That was perhaps a bad selection there. It's really just what we're seeing in on-base has been a long time coming is really what that reflects. But we have really seen a recent organizational shift in on-base from repository to workflow. And historically, on-base has been, let's get rid of paper. We scan it into on-base. We have 36 million pages out there. We put some keywords on it so we can retrieve it and find it, and that's what we do. But now the organization is really shifting to workflow, which is really that business efficiency process, that business process redesign, and how do we become more efficient? How do we provide better services? We have seen more traction in this than really anything else technology-wise in 2023. And some of that is highlighted here. So if you look down there, I won't read all of these, but we have indigent defense, creating some billing and invoice automation for them. Human resources has been a huge win for us. They have really taken on digitizing personnel files and now are taking it to the next step of using online forms to reduce physical signatures, moving things through on-base right into personnel folders. It has and will continue to make a huge improvement in the way they work. Prosecutors, child support intake forms, these are public-facing forms now, not just used for internally, but public-facing forms that residents are seeing to improve their experiences. Building replacement case management software to improve legal workflow. DocuSign is our digital signature platform, and we processed about 19,000 of those in 2023, which is a pretty low number, but it's about 10,000 more than it was the year before. So that continues to really go on an upward trajectory, and we expect this to continue to improve. I know my friend Andy is here from 17th Circuit Court today. 17th Circuit and Probate Court are starting a pretty intensive 18 to 24-month business process redesign. They intend to go entirely paperless in the next 18 to 24 months, and that is probably one of the hugest wins the county will see from a paperless and technology initiative since I've been here 15 years. It's huge. It really is huge. They generate more paper than almost anybody in the county. And this will really change and revolutionize their processes and services they provide. So I know I stole some of Andy's thunder there, but he can talk more about that. And then lastly, Administrator's Office, Veteran Services, again, business process redesign. It's workflow, it's automation, it's providing better services there. So looking ahead with a few small challenges there, again, we've got 40 plus projects going on across various departments in all aspects of technology. We are building a new data center and moving into that. We'll be done with that in the next couple of months. Continued expansion, security landscape, the technology availability, that pendulum keeps on moving out and increasing in pace. In some areas of IT, our incoming requests for service do outpace our capacity, and that's something we're cognizant of and trying to pay attention to. New county initiatives as it relates to the new admin building out on Fuller. What is that going to look like from a technology perspective, supporting indigent defense and that initiative? Increasing costs, everything's going up. Licensing models and services models continue to shift to more to the subscription-based, almost a rental type of approach, which drives cost up and changes how we position ourselves. End user work habits is an interesting one. As people retire and you get a changing demographic in the workforce, users are coming in with more and more experiences, higher expectations of technology, more experience. One size no longer fits all. It used to be you got a phone, you got a computer, and this is the way you did things. And now we're being challenged to say, well, I learned how to do it this way. And so you don't want to untrain them because it works, right? And so from an efficiency perspective and a productivity, perspective, how do you better support that? And that's something is a daily challenge for us. We've got migration of content management to a new website provider. 17th Circuit Court, I talked about that a little bit. In the future, I talked about JailView being our oldest application that is no longer here. CourtView, our current case management system, now has the distinctive honor of being almost 30 years old. So what do we do with that in the future is out there on the horizon. I'd be remiss not to talk about artificial intelligence and a cautionary approach the county is taking to that. It's got huge potential. We've seen it used within the county. It's got huge efficiencies, and it works. But that cautionary statement that AI continues to be the Wild West. It's largely ungoverned. You got to be careful about putting proprietary information in it. You got to be careful about trademarked information in it. So keeping that human element in the chain has really been that cautionary approach that the county has taken. And then lastly, evaluating the fit of technology, right? We always use the term perfection is the enemy of good enough, and we didn't coin that phrase, I know, but we use it. It's kind of a bit of a motto to say, hey, if we're striving for perfection, we'll never get there. Sometimes good enough has to be good enough as we just try to keep pace. So, all right, so none of that happens without IT leadership and staff. We got great IT leadership across our 7 work teams. They are dedicated, they are passionate, they are excellent at what they do. So we've got 41 people. It is a pleasure to work with them every day. Like I said, none of this gets done without them. So we are blessed to have them. County leadership and department directors, we're blessed. We get great support. IT security, hey, if we need help, they do it. And really, technology continues to really be a team sport across the county. And so we win and lose as an organization, and we're winning. And so kudos to them. And county staff, that's wide-ranging. But the reality is that I think over the last few years, we've seen that county staff they have a huge capacity for change if it's organized, if it's well presented to them, if they get it, if it makes sense to them. But you see it from our phishing numbers. They get it. They're committed to it. And again, none of it works without them. So that's a little bit about us. So.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Could you introduce your staff that's here with you real quick as well, too, please?
I would be happy to. So let's see, I've got Mary Beth Van Til. Mary Beth leads our on-base team, and we talked a lot about that, so that's under her leadership. We've got a really great team there. Steve Watson is our specialty applications, so this is our justice applications, and some of our other areas that his folks specialize in. Henry Holmes is our IT manager of our service desk. So we had a retirement. Cynthia Robinson retired last fall, and Henry has stepped into that role and is leading those efforts. He's been fantastic. And then Wayne Art, I mentioned DPW earlier. Wayne was the IT support person out at Department of Public Works, and we brought him on under our head count to provide some better support across the county and gain the leverage of what he knows. And so he's been a great win for us as well.
Great.
So,
Steve has also been the voice of Granville baseball, by the way, as well, so please don't forget that.
he does, and he lets us know at every opportunity.
When my son was playing, I'd go up there mainly, not just to help him, but to stay out of the cold in the spring baseball weather, so thank you, Steve, for that. All right, commissioners, comments or questions? Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Chair. Tim, what a great presentation this morning. Just the level of assuredness that you just presented all that information to us. It's amazing. You know, I think we as commissioners deal with a lot of issues, a lot of problematic things that give cause for us to spend a lot of time and special attention. But the IT department has pretty much remained off of our radar. Thank you very much. And
That's our goal, is not to be here more often.
Exactly. So kudos to you and your team for having done such a great job. And, you know, if you were here today trying to sell these services to the county, I would sign right now for all those services that you're providing. It's an amazing work that you do with all this team, 41 members in your team. And, you know, you're transitioning now, moving into new servers, and you seem to do all this seamlessly. And I like the fact that, you know, with the technology that I'm using, I never have any problems. And I haven't heard from anyone that says, you know, there's problems or complaints about the IT department. So keep up the good work. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Good, thank you, I appreciate that.
Great, thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Baker, I believe you had did somebody over there or then Commissioner Ponstein?
Thank you. Nothing would make me more happy for you to come over and just take my phone and rehook my landline up. Having said that, though, you had mentioned briefly AI on how we're using it. And the people always think that our threats to our technology is someone in their basement with their computer hacking in. Most of these are foreign governments that don't have good intentions. I'll just say that. So are you worried about, we've got AI, but someone else that's got a more powerful AI system? You know, as you said, it's a Wild West show out there, but the abilities of AI are doubling constantly on what they can and can't. What are the threats that our AI is going to be attacked by another AI?
AI attacking AI, wow, that's a rabbit hole there. Just a couple of thoughts that I would share with you is one, when it comes to looking across the globe at threats, one of the things we do is geo-block, and so we do not allow connectivity from certain parts of the world, especially where there are known bad actors, and that's a pretty common best practice you see. And so we maintain that almost on a daily basis to say, hey, what is the federal government recommending we do, and what is best practice saying from threats coming in around the globe? And so we just don't allow connectivity from some of those areas. So that's, again, kind of talking about that defense in depth. That's one of the things we do. And really, I think the other thing we've done from a AI perspective is just encourage people to educate them, because we can kind of put some guardrails around it. But if we are using it to maybe build code or a script or something, there's a tremendous value in that from a time savings perspective. But I have to be educated, or staff has to be educated in being that human in the chain to be that check and that balance to say, is this right? Does it work? Do we have a test environment to detonate that code and actually see what it does? And that's on the technical side. On really more of the user side, if I'm trying to write a position description or an RFP type of thing, being very careful that if I'm using ChatGPT to do it, I'm not putting county-specific information that somebody else is going to harvest and use against me later on, right? I want to keep it generalized. I want to keep it very generic, anonymized. It's really, to prevent it, I think hurts the county more than allowing it with those cautionary guardrails around it. But it's largely almost an individual educational type of issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Commissioner Ponce, I'm glad that makes sense to you. Because myself, I just want my technology to work, and I appreciate you doing that. Commissioner Pakla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll echo the appreciation from Commissioner Bujak. I think, IT departments are functioning well when they are out of sight, when they don't want to be in sight, and in sight when they do want to be in sight. So I think you all are doing a great job with all of that. So I wondered if you all, as we think about the Fuller complex and we think about the opportunity to build a brand new building versus renovating a space right here, I'm wondering if you could give us a little bit of insight into the thinking around what that build out looks like from the IT perspective as compared to what it would have looked like for updating a building like this.
It's a great question, and I'm not sure we're there yet. And the reason I say that is because I think when we look at a new building on Fuller versus retrofitting, when we retrofit a building, a lot of times we're working with something that's existing. And when I think about a new building, I think one of the things we need to really challenge ourselves with is it's probably bigger than just our department to do it. And so I look, and we've done this with other county buildings, is bringing in consultants that work in education and other areas to say, what do you see out there? What do you see in medical fields, in medical buildings, in new education buildings that we should be looking at? Because even if you think about conference room technology, it's not just a whiteboard anymore. Now it's a smart board, right? And those types of things. And so sometimes we think about legacy buildings and saying, well, let's replace that whiteboard with another one or put a projector on the screen like we've got here. But what should we be thinking about? We're just not there because we don't know what's out there. So engaging with people that are doing that, I think, is going to be key to a new building.
Great,
Yep.
thank you.
Great question. Any other commissioners? Again, Tim, thank you so much. Again, I pull off, like I said, I like my technology to work. I know how to use it just good enough. I pulled 320-ish. I heard that word. I enjoy it, ish. That's a great word. Just maybe one question on the serious note, though. So let's say our county clerk wants to add more online services. Is our county clerk working with you on that? How does, I'm just using, at least as an example, but I mean, how does that work when one of our departments needs you to do something? Are they coming up with it, going to you, or are you kind of working as a team together to put that together?
The team approach is generally what we do, and there's a couple of moving parts to that. We certainly play a role in that, but it's also who's actually building out that online service and that online application. And so depending on what they currently do in their service portfolio, maybe there's something that we can reuse. WebTex, which does a lot of our online application development, is certainly part of that because they're building it. And so it's really, hey, let's identify the business needs. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Let's work with the resources we have to build it out. And then, by the way, we got to make sure it's secure. So, right, let's run it through the paces and make sure that it works. It does functionally what they want, meets our requirements for security, and then we wrap it into production. So, we have what I will call a loose cycle of project management that wraps around that, but it's really dependent upon. You have 20-some departments, they're all trying to do something different, right? And so one size doesn't fit all when it comes to designing those types of services. So it really, most of it starts up front with what's the problem you're trying to solve.
All right, well, thank you. Great, excellent presentation. Thank you, staff, for showing up as well. You do a great job, and I know you're busy, so again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next item on our agenda is an action item that will go to the board on 8/22.
It goes with the budget for budget
So
approval.
it's going to go to budget approval on August the 22nd meeting, brought to us by our Human Resources Department for fiscal year 2025, additional positions. And I asked Al to give us a quick little summary.
Well, I'll do a quick summary of the positions requested, and then obviously Amy Rolson is here, our HR director, and she oversaw that process, so she's one that will also have some valuable information. So I just wanted to mention that as we look at the recommended positions for 2025, this cake was half-baked, I think, because of prior decisions. So This includes the second half of the implementation of the correctional study that we got a good start on in the current year's budget, 2024 budget. So the rest of that is included in the 25 budget. Also, with the addition of the district court, so those positions are, go live on January 1 of 2025. So those are included in this recommendation. Also, the decision was made to add management analysts to oversee the new Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. That is a position that we expect will pay for itself within 2 years. We do plan to phase it in as the work comes. We've got a couple of different models we're looking at to accomplish that, so we don't start out with a full-time position with nothing to do. So we will be sensitive to that. And then also, there's a number of other positions that it's a total of 6 on top of what we've recommended with the sheriff's office, one of them being the Brownfield position. This is the lowest number I think you've seen in quite a few years. I just wanted to hit on a couple of these real quick. So the communications manager ultimately replaces a contract. So within 2 years, that position will cost $10,000. The first year, it'll cost us half of that position as we phase out of the contract over the first 6 months of the fiscal year. And then the second year, 2026, it will cost us $10,000. We also have one of the interesting ones, the senior admin specialist processes the set-aside of criminal convictions under the clean slate legislation. That's actually kind of a big deal. We get contacted by the right place and businesses contact them. This is an unfunded mandate. The state passed a law and gave the clerk the responsibility of doing this work without passing on any funds to do it. But this is an absolute need for us to help our business community hire positions from this source, from folks that are having their record cleaned per state law. Human resources specialist too, it's just kind of an overwhelming amount of hiring we're doing these days with the retirement of the baby boomers, kind of the new gig economy world we find ourselves in after the pandemic. And I think people trying a career and then deciding maybe it isn't for them, which is something that didn't happen much prior to the pandemic. And so and human resources is still down a few positions from where they were 2008. So I think this is something that will allow us to service departments as far as making sure that we can, in a timely fashion, run hiring processes. Circuit court caseworker replaces 2 contracted workers who historically provided monitoring services. So again, more of a swap of contract for salary. And Andy's here if there's any questions about that one as you move into your question and discussion phase. And then the one that is a placeholder is the patrol officer position. So sheriff, admin, corporation counsel have all been working together to get the road patrol study done. In my view, we have a final draft that needs some really just kind of typo and some corrections with some of that. That will be presented to the county board in closed session, just like the jail position was done. The sheriff and I have worked together on a plan to implement over 2 years. The goal would be to implement 14 new patrol officer positions, half in the 25 budget, half in the 26 budget. That will cost $900,000 each year for a total of $1.8 million. And so obviously you see this placeholder for $655,000, and obviously that's not enough. The other $245,000 will come as we work through the add back. Once operational budgets are due, we have meetings, usually it's with the larger departments, to talk about what they want to add back over the zero base, and we've agreed to add the 245 back to make that $900,000 so that we fully fund the 7 patrol officers in 2025. So it looks a little bit different, but that's what we're trying to accomplish with this motion and this action item.
All right, before we have any questions potentially for staff, can I have a motion and support on this, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ponstein, support by Baker. Any comments, questions, or concerns? I did ask Al to give a summary this time because it was a little more detailed than some of our other requests. Commissioner Pakla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Al, just to make sure I'm understanding the table correctly, that column that says offset of other general fund expenses, I think you explained that the 60,000 that's in the communications manager is current contractual costs that are offset, is that right?
There's 129 right now, and so over the next fiscal year, it'll actually be 60. Then the following year, we carry over another, it'll be 10,000.
Okay.
So we're covering 120 out of 129 and change.
And is that the same characteristic that you give to the 45,777 in the next line down? Is that sort of an offset that comes from current services that are being replaced?
Yes.
Okay, and then the non-general fund expenses, those are grant funds that are offsetting the cost to the general fund?
Yes.
Perfect, that's all the questions I have.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Pakla. Great questions. All right, any other commissioners' comments?
Can I mention one more thing?
Yes.
One more thing, I did want to mention that we did not include the 73 positions that we plan to recommend that you add for the Public Defender's Office. We did send information out, I think a week ago Friday, that has what that will look like as far as adding a county public defender office function and then staffing it with 73 individuals. That would, any additional costs would be paid by the state, but that would go to the committee and board at the end of April and early May. So that's not part of this action.
All right, thank you, Al, appreciate it. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed? That has moved on to the 22nd of August meeting. Our next item on the agenda is appointment to the jury commission. Do I have a motion and support for this appointment, please? So moved by Pakla. We have support by, let's see, Baker? All right, I thought I saw your lips move just a little bit, so. All right, commissioners, any comments, questions, or concerns? If not, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed? Thank you for that. That will go to our board meeting this Friday for her final approval. All right, Commissioner Miscellaneous. Do we have any Commissioner Miscellaneous? Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Barrel. Al, just a request, I don't need an answer today, but I think just ongoing information. Over the weekend, I heard a interview with our Director of Border Security. And this is the first time I've heard someone from that department say that the border isn't secure. In fact, it's a national security threat. You know, we all heard about the horrific attack in Russia. I know France and other EU countries are now enhancing protections that the threat isn't just something that we think may happen, that it's going to start happening. And, you know, the guy from Border Security, when asked, you know, what should people do? I mean, this was his answer. He says, well, you should, you know, avoid large venues, airports, bus stations, large gatherings, concerts, sporting events. Can we update, you know, as a county and maybe even as a state, as, you know, are we prepared? I know after, you know, 9/11, we spent billions of dollars on enhanced security. And, you know, and I'm worried about if and when it happens, where that's going to be and how prepared are we as a county to address these, you know, they're no longer being just hidden. There are people in the government now saying that, you know, these are real credible threats now. And we've got 9 million people that have crossed that border. We know very little about them. You know, I'm sure most of them are out looking for a better life, but it doesn't take many. I think they said 4 people took down that Russian venue. 4 people. It wasn't a large army of people coming in. And I've got concerns. And if we can just keep updating us on this, on where we're at, where we're going, and are these threats credible for Kent County and the state of Michigan? Thank you.
I'll meet with the sheriff and other staff, and we'll put together a plan on how best to respond to you. It might be a closed session is best, but we'll figure that out. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponstein. Any other Commissioner Miscellaneous? Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to congratulate Dee Jones for his award. He certainly is a young man on a mission, and his actions speak louder than words. He's happy to share his awards with us, and it's nice to see that he's making progress in his mission. And I did want to make mention about this sling I'm wearing. I was involved in an automobile accident, and I had rotor cuff surgery last Wednesday, and I'm recovering very nicely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Boujak. Any other commissioner miscellaneous? Just maybe one shout out to staff. I know Lori was instrumental in our trip to the Capitol with our LHR. Fantastic attendance by this body right here. Lori has told me repeatedly for 6 to 12 months that we need to do something different than a legislative breakfast. I thought it was very worthwhile. If that was your brainchild, I know you had something different you wanted to do. I thought it was fantastic. Again, very well attended. I thought we did great work and built some great relationships. And I guess it was a first of its kind for a delegation like ours. So again, appreciate staff's work on that. I appreciate the commissioners that went to that. Everyone at this table, I believe, did or pretty close. So again, it's very well appreciated. Hey, county commissioners are doing the work, you know, on a Tuesday all day in Lansing, and you know, just asking our state to not forget about us and trying to get our piece of the pie. So again, thank you for that hard work. And if there's nothing else, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.